Here at the Tampa Convention Center by the beautiful waters of Davis Island, over here in Tampa, Florida, where we are here at Kushcon, the ultimate cannabis convention we've had in the last 2 years. And of course, I am your political director of Suncoast Normal, Gary Stein, and my special guest here today is Mr. I'm sorry, what is your officer ranking?
Well, I was a lieutenant in the Navy, so an '03.
Okay, but you're still semi-active, right? You still
No, I'm fully out. Not even
not even
inactive,
reserve.
ready reserves. No, I am out.
Well, good. That means that we get him all the time. Because Adam right now is actually running for the office of the chief financial officer of the state of Florida, which is a very interesting position. Number one, because you sign about 100,000 checks,
At least.
and your wrist never gets tired. And as for those people who don't know, the chief financial officer is also the fire marshal in the state of Florida, which is a kind of a bizarre twist.
Yeah, it's about 12 or 13 major departments. It's also the head of the Division of Cemeteries, strangely enough, besides being the head of the Office of Insurance Regulation and the state treasurer.
Isn't that perfect? You're working in insurance regulation and cemeteries?
It's really a strange kind of thing, yeah.
So you were a state representative.
I was.
You ran handily in a red district and won.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went ahead and made an attempt for Congress, which is always a tough call. And I was actually rooting for you to come back to Florida. So I'm glad that you're actually running for this position. What made you decide to go for the chief financial officer position?
Well, it really comes down to, I don't know if you've noticed, if there's any renters out there, or if you own your own home, your rent or your property insurance has gone through the roof.
Absolutely.
We've seen this major property insurance crisis coming down the pike for about 5 years. And the current CFO and the legislature have done absolutely nothing to protect consumers. And we need somebody to stand up for Floridians again, instead of just big corporations. So that was a big factor in deciding for me to run. Plus, about 8 months before I made that decision, there were people from all over the state calling, asking, like, Adam, will you run for this? We need a strong Democrat. Will you run for this position? And I've always been a team player, and they needed somebody strong on the team. So here I am.
Yeah, well, they actually had a special session this last summer to try to fix the insurance issue. Did they fix it?
No. Short answer, no. People were a lot of Floridians were polled right before that special session, and something about 89% said they did not want to see their coverage go down and their rates go up. What we saw from the special session, coverage went down and rates went up, plus there was a $2 billion corporate bailout to insurance companies. Ultimately, the consumers got nothing. So no, did not do anything. It was like a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Now, the state of Florida has a high-risk insurance that is the insurance of last resort called Citizens.
Yes.
And people are constantly finding themselves being pushed towards that high-cost, low-coverage issue. And is that going to change? Can that change?
It can change, but it's going to take a couple of years. And so anytime one of these major markets are struggling right now, and Florida is in a property insurance crisis. Some people have called it the property insurance apocalypse, especially with what's going on just in the past few weeks. It can change, but we need real and strong leadership in the CFO's office to help put priorities and direct the legislature on where we need to make these changes. We need people to do the proper analysis, which the CFO's office has not done, so we know where we have to go to fix some of these things. So Citizens Property Insurance is the insurer of last resort. It's the state property insurance. Right now, it is by far the largest insurer in the state, which is not supposed to be. And now they just proposed using Citizens as a new backstop to help all insurance companies in the event they go insolvent, if there's a major storm. That means that they can put a levy on every single homeowner, every single property owner in the state, whether you have Citizens insurance or not. So it's really putting the onus and putting the responsibility on the backs of the consumer and the homeowner, instead of where it needs to be with the insurance companies of just running the business better, and the legislature, the Office of Insurance Regulation, just enforcing and having better regulations to protect the people.
That's one thing I had a concern about in regards to Obamacare and in regards to the federal market, is that most people, even if they had those nice little tiers, often found themselves being pushed towards catastrophic insurance, which again is one of those things where it's less expensive, but you got less coverage. And bottom line, you don't get the value out of it unless you're, it's like accidental death and dismemberment. You really have to be in bad shape to actually collect it all kind of situation. So I'm hoping that we can correct these issues. I know that a lot of people here at Kushcon have businesses they want to have insured because there's liability and all these kind of things. Is it going to be easier for what they consider high risk businesses like like cannabis companies or like CBD companies to get insurance?
Well, we have to. What I'm talking about is specifically property insurance. So
Yeah,
any like warehouses or storefronts that anyone in the cannabis industry owns, they're in the same boat as a normal homeowner or a commercial, a traditional commercial business owner
right.
with this property insurance crisis. It's not necessarily what business they're insuring; it's the property itself that people are struggling with. I was in the Panhandle, a couple of weeks ago. Remember Hurricane Michael? It was over 4 years ago.
Yep.
There's still homes with tarps for roofs, still homes that have been destroyed because insurance companies are they're doing it's a tactic called delay, deny, defend. Where they're just basically trying to run out the clock on people to make them so frustrated that they take the lowest minimum offer. But in the lieu of that happening, people are stuck without a home or without a roof on their home for literally years. And we need to protect Floridians. That's why we pay these premiums. So in the event of one of these catastrophic events, we can immediately move on, or as quickly as possible move on with our lives, not languish in this legal purgatory for 4 years.
Yes. And we've got a lot of legal purgatories in the state of Florida.
Absolutely.
One of which is our clemency board.
And the CFO does have a seat on the clemency board.
And we're trying to increase expungements for those people who had history of nonviolent possession charges, and they have to get out. What do you see as happening with the clemency board to try to remediate that situation? Because we still have people who are affected by it, and we can't seem to get a good expungement bill put through. And we have tried. You tried.
Yes, I've tried when I was in the legislature. But really, it's going to come down to the will of the cabinet. And having a CFO up there, that is an advocate that understands, like, especially nonviolent cannabis-related, some of those smaller crimes that people have been disproportionately punished for. When it was 13 states now where
Yeah.
it's completely legal. We have to make some certain decisions and have really some common sense when it comes to providing some clemency for these types of offenders. Which, when it comes down to it, hopefully, when the federal government or state by state makes it legal, they won't actually be offenders anymore. And understanding what it's a non-violent, non-addictive, kind of thing. Like we absolutely have to show clemency, and so having somebody with a will to have that on the clemency board and pushing the clemency board to do that is going to be key. So not just the CFO, even though it's one of the most critical seats on the cabinet, but also getting the governor on board. We get a Democratic governor and me on the cabinet. We control the cabinet and we control clemency throughout the state.
And that I can see is going to be an automatic improvement.
I would think so. I mean, we haven't had a Democratic governor in about 24 years or so now.
God bless Lawton Childs. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Been a few.
Clemency board these past 4 years has been abysmal. They've taken it to almost personal level attacks on people who come before them. It's really been embarrassing, and it's not been portraying our state as we need to be. It's really been nearly embarrassing for the people coming before the board, and that's not appropriate.
Now, you mentioned there's 13 departments that they're over. One of which, of course, is the fire marshal, and hopefully you haven't got any more trees still burning that were felled by Michael. But I have a feeling that's still a problem.
That is still a bit of a problem. But believe it or not, like the forestry version of those trees are under the Commissioner of Agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really kind of a weird dynamic of what's under the CFO, what's under Commissioner of Agriculture. But we'd have to work together to make sure that we're able to take care of some of those issues. Granted, there were tens of thousands of acres and millions of tons of this debris, and working nonstop, and they have been for 4 years. It's still, only putting a dent in some of this. But we just got to keep pushing for it. We got to look at what other states have done to be successful, like Arizona, for example, that have worked with arborists and ecologists to make sure that we're doing the right actions, not just kind of arbitrarily going in and cutting down trees or arbitrarily doing controlled burns.
And we don't have anybody out there sweeping the forest floors with brooms and rakes.
Right. We have to. Nature is able to take care of itself, and that's what Arizona was able to do. They were able to improve the health of their forests and of their national preserves by mostly letting nature do what it's meant to do. Like having certain fire breaks, so nature does what it does in certain areas and doesn't threaten homes or businesses. But doing some of these controlled burns, doing some of these controlled knockdowns, is actually not good for the health of our forests. And if we actually employed some arborists and ecologists and put in a plan and studied what other states have done to be successful, we can be just as successful here in Florida to help preserve, the natural beauty that drives our number one industry of tourism.
Absolutely. Now, one other thing about the fire marshal, besides the fact that you're constantly kicking me out of of rallies and stuff because there's too many people in the building, but we have a lot of people here in the industry who have, like, for instance, glass blowers. They want to have exhibits and things of that sort. The question of whether they can have it indoors or outdoors. That's also the venue of the fire marshal as well, correct?
It is the venue of the fire marshal and of the venue itself. So there are certain regulations that, for overall public safety, we obviously have to make sure, first and foremost, that we're keeping the public safe. So anytime there's going to be that untrained people and observers around something that is potentially dangerous like that, we have to make sure people are safe.
Yeah.
But partnering with the local fire marshals to make sure that we do have the best economic and business opportunity while keeping people safe on a case by case basis is pretty important.
Now we got a primary on August 23rd. Do you have a primary challenge?
I do not have a primary challenger. I'm the only statewide Democratic candidate with no primary, so you will not see me on the August ballot, but you will on November 8th. So look for my name there. Would love to have you bubble that in. And that's the thing about the CFO. Even though I'm the Democratic nominee, this is not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's not an independent issue. This is your wallet issue. Property insurance. Everybody's costs and cost of living and their rent has gone up over the past 5 years. We need someone to protect you. So don't vote with your heart on this one. Don't vote with your party. Vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
And as long as we get that message out, we got a great shot at winning this race and helping to finally protect Florida consumers again.
But when I was working for the health department, it was Alex Sink who was the CFO,
Mm-hmm.
and so obviously she's Democrat.
She is,
and that was still the highly GOP cabinet at that time and legislature. So obviously it can be done.
It can, and Alex has been an amazing supporter. She was our first endorsement. She even hosted a campaign kickoff event for me at her home. She's been amazing.
Yeah. Less known fact of Alex Sink, who was our CFO, her grandparents, I know she doesn't like to hear this too much, were the Siamese twins Chang and Ang in North Carolina in the great grandparents.
I had heard that, yeah. I think it's on her Wikipedia page.
It is. It's interesting as heck. There's 13 more departments, or actually 11 more departments that you have to deal with. Any others that you feel that are important that you would be special for?
Well, we've already talked about the Office of Insurance Regulation, talked about clemency, talked about the state fire marshal. So those are some of the big ones. Even the state auditor is an important one. I don't think we've had any proper audits of what's been going on with the state's tax dollars since Alex was our CFO.
Wow.
If we want to have those checks and balances and hold government accountable, we want to have somebody from the opposite party of the majority of the cabinet as the CFO. And back, 30 years ago, all the cabinet positions were Democrat. Personally, if that were the case, it was all Democrats, I would want the CFO to be a Republican for transparency. But in this case, when all the cabinet are Republicans, we need a Democrat as the CFO to maintain that transparency, to hold government accountable to the people it's supposed to serve. So that's just another argument to have a Democrat as your CFO when the legislature is Republicans. We need those governmental checks and balances. That's why it was designed.
And I can tell you one more reason why Adam would possibly be perfect for the position. Tallahassee is full of subterfuge. This guy used to run a submarine.
Yeah, I'm a veteran. I was in the Navy for 8 years. I was a nuclear submarine officer. After my time on the ship, I also volunteered and did a combat tour in Iraq with an Army Special Operations Unit from 2006 to 2007. Went on about 200 combat missions. So understanding not just what Floridians, but Americans and what our veterans need. As a veteran myself, and on the three cabinet positions, Ag Commissioner, CFO, and Attorney General, between both sides of the aisle, I'm the only veteran running for any of those positions.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, one of my favorite veterans is Danny Burgess. I know he could be a good ally for you while he's still in the Senate.
Yep, and Senator Burgess and I, when he was the director of Florida's VA, he and I worked together on several veterans bills when I was in the legislature, and we got quite a bit done.
JAG, the military's best friend, right? Adam, good luck to you. I know you've got to go up to Gainesville and check out the Gainesville Green, right?
Well, there's a couple big campaign events we have going on up there. I was in Deltona yesterday. I was in Miami and Fort Lauderdale earlier this week. Panhandle earlier. We're all over the state. We got to get in front of about 10 million voters. We have 22 million people here in Florida. So yeah, make sure if you get your ballot, your vote by mail ballot, send that in for the August 23rd primary. Early vote starts in about a week. And then watch for your vote by mail ballot coming out in October. Early vote starting the second to last week of October, and election day November 8th.
And say hi to your fantastic wife, the driver of your life.
Oh yeah, my beautiful wife Christy.
Yep.
She's actually getting her hair done right now, but I'm going to be seeing her again. Right, I'm going to stop by home before I head up to Gainesville.
All right, Adam, take care.
Appreciate
Good luck.
Thank you, Gary.
Godspeed.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that was Adam Hattersley, our deputy, the candidate for the chief financial officer for the state of Florida. And no primary, so you will see him on the ballot in November. Be sure to check it out. Yeah, that's Adam Hattersley. It's not Alfred E. Newman. I got that mistake. I had that mistake once. I'm never going to do that again. No, he likes that. Okay. We have guest number 2 here. A good friend of Normal. You have always been a supporter of this particular chapter since I even started it. So we're glad to have you here and glad to have you in the industry because you've been all over the place for the last 10 years.
Yeah, it feels like dog years. It's nice to be back. We're here at the convention center, which when we first started doing things wouldn't even allow us to come here and talk about cannabis. So it's exciting to see how things have evolved. One of the things that I've noticed, and you probably do, Gary, is when we used to do these events, we probably knew 80 to 90% of the people.
Yeah.
Everybody here's new. And it's kind of exciting. I love it. I'm meeting new people. I'm hearing new ideas. And I think the industry is getting rejuvenated. But thanks for having me.
And you are now the purveyor, along with your beautiful wife, of Chill Coffee over in Del Rico.
Yeah, well, I wish I could take credit for that, but that is my wife, Lisa. Yeah, we opened up just before the pandemic, and we're introducing cannabinoids to people that are very familiar with the world's largest or longest used psychoactive in the world, caffeine. So nobody's afraid of caffeine, but when you talk about THC or cannabinoids, they become a little skeptical. So we demystify that over a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I go to my cardiologist on a regular basis, and he asks me the same damn question: how much coffee have you been drinking lately? and I have to admit that if I don't have my coffee con leche in the morning, I am just malo. That's all there is to it. I am bad. I have considered switching to Kratom. I got to tell you, it tastes to me like Angostura bitters, so I have a difficulty. But if you can mediate that taste, it has some amazing effects.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we're working on at Chill Coffee. As many of the people at Normal know, I was addicted to opioids before I got into the cannabis industry, and that was really one of the things that got me involved. I learned about Kratom or Kratom. People pronounce it both ways. Really doesn't matter to me either way. The product is amazing, and it helps with pain. It tastes like dirt most of the time, but my beautiful wife, Lisa, has been working on recipes, and we're doing different things with Kratom that not a lot of people are doing. So we're brewing from whole leaf. We're doing specialty tea blends. We're adding some other ingredients into our blends, and we're really making it taste good, sugar-free. We have a new blend coming out called Quigley's Blend. And again, it's brewed from whole leaf. It's naturally flavored with pineapple and mango, no sugar, and it's a great thing to try. So you have to come out and try it, Gary.
I will, because it's hard for me to get all the way out to Del Rico. It's just not in the neighborhood of Wesley Chapel, but it's definitely worth the drive.
Hey, today's Sunday. Usually we have board on Sunday. Come out and play a board game. Feel free. Come challenge me to some chess. I lose every week.
I'm more of a backgammon guy.
We could do that too.
It has to do with some of my my Western European, Eastern Asia kind of thing going on, but it works out very well. You've got a variety both of drinks and of also bakery goods, right?
Correct. We do a lot of education. We just added food, so we have protein donuts. So we have meals that you can heat up and eat in our
Are these
store.
like gluten-free and a high-protein diet donuts?
These are high protein, 28 to 30 grams of whey protein that is added. Then we have chef-prepared meals. We have athlete portions. We have keto portions. We have vegan. We have paleo. Those are all available. You could take those home. They're weekly meal preps. So we allow people to choose some healthier options. As you know, a lot of people, my mom's going through cancer treatment. And one of the things is a low sugar diet or having a healthy, functional diet as part of your routine.
Now, do you have exercise sessions as well over at the Chill Coffee to go along with all those low sugar options and things of that sort?
I think Gary's making fun of my weight.
No, I'm still there myself. I'm still about a good 20 pounds before my weight. So I'm looking for solutions myself.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you know what? Our one store is inside a gym. So we're able to expose our products to athletes. Gracie Brandon is a place where people learn jujitsu, self defense, martial arts, wrestling, and we're connected to that gym. So some days I actually get a chance to work out with the guys at 6 a.m. before the coffee shop even opens up, and then start my day off with some coffee and a few protein
You
donuts.
got to go with coffee. And you used to be head of the House of Mary Jane.
I still am. So, well, I'm not the head of, so I'm still part of House of Jane. House of Jane
House
was
of
one.
Jane.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
sorry, Mary.
yeah, House of Jane originated in California. Um, they were one of the first infused beverage companies that were infusing tea and coffee all the way back in 2013. I had a deal with them to bring them to Florida, and I worked with them very closely, and they're my brand partner. And we work their stock symbols now Hoji, Hoji, and they're trading on the OTC market. And
Okay.
I am still part of that group.
I've always been interested in the difference between drinks that use isolate and drinks that use nano emulsions.
Yeah, so we started out. The founder of Jane's Brew was discovering how to infuse beverages very, very early, and the California cannabis market evolved extremely quickly. And we used to make a tea with isolate, and it would have 100 milligrams in it. And unfortunately, once we started testing that product, not all of what we were putting into it was actually in the finished product. So that's how we evolved to a nano emulsified a recipe. We have a special recipe that is a little bit more binding, and it's a little bit different than adding an isolate. So it's a little bit of science that goes into it. It's boring, but we have a way to infuse beverages that it's a little bit more absorbing into your body and into your
I
system.
mean, mixology is an art as well as a science.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to worry about some products are more bioavailable in water. Some products are more bioavailable in a fat-based thing, like for instance, a cream background. So obviously, you're up for the science, and you're up for the culture, and you're up for uh, the art of it all.
Yeah, in the community, we really wanted a place where we could bring people together, that they would feel comfortable. Because one of the things that I found as a patient, once I became a patient, was there weren't a lot of places to go. Now it's changing, right? But when you're a patient, especially somebody that doesn't drink alcohol and maybe is just getting back out there, if you suffered trauma in your past or you had something, it's a little bit uncomfortable going into new places. So really, yeah, we sell coffee, we sell CBD, but we sell that experience of giving you a safe place to come, talk to some people that may have some similar things in their background or similar issues that they may be dealing with, and maybe just have 5 minutes apiece and enjoy a cup of coffee.
Now, I spent a lot of time looking at all the different regulations across the country involving what they call consumption lounges. And one of the things I noticed about Florida is there is no actual law or clause that specifically discusses the concept of a consumption lounge.
You're absolutely right. And that's one of the things that we're trying to mold in our place, to do it in a responsible manner. Giving people, instead of having to go to underground places that are secret locations on Instagram and you don't know what is there, we want to give people a safe place where they really know the products that they're using, they know the people that they're dealing with, and, that they can feel like they have some trust.
Oh, and I am hoping that they actually do continue along these lines because we have seen so much overregulation.
Yeah.
And here is a ancillary business where at this point in time there is no overregulation. It's underregulated, and actually it feels weird to be in that space because you're so used to being told where to go, when to go, how many times you can breathe per minute, etc.
But and we're not the only ones that are doing it. So Chill Coffee, Chillum in Ybor City is a great place to go and feel comfortable. I don't know if you know Ian Beckles, but Ian opened up a place called Dignitary, where he's got a kava, Battle Buds. There's the guys up in Gainesville. So there's a lot of people that are providing these safe spaces.
Swamp City, yeah.
Swamp City, yeah. Swamp City, they're doing a great job.
Call out Tyler.
But it's great to start seeing that these places are more accepted, and we need more of them. We have a bar on every corner. We have a gas station on every corner. Why shouldn't we have places where people can come and feel safe?
I've seen there's been consumption lounges across the country, which are just basically tasting rooms outside the dispensary, and it doesn't feel that way because there's no camaraderie, there's no social aspect to it.
Yeah. I've got patients that before they found out about Chill Coffee didn't leave their house for years. And they're coming in and they're participating in paint nights, and they're meeting up to play chess or boggle on the weekends, and it's warming to see. I've got parents that have two twins that have Tourette's, that since they started using some of the products are not having any tics anymore, and they're able to come out and spend their day at the coffee shop. It may not be all day, 5-10 minutes, but they're able to go out and go places.
Obviously, these must be identical twins. They have twins with Tourette's, because that's very, very, very rare. Because it is a recessive gene, and highly recessive, as a matter of fact. So they have twins that way. That's a remarkable situation, and a definite burden on the parents who want to do best by their kids.
Yeah, and they want to be part of the community just like any one of our other neighbors.
Well, I thank you for being part of the community and bringing normalcy and a good place to go, and to, if possible, medicate yourself where you don't have to hide yourself in your apartment, or if you rent, hide it from your landlord as well, so you have no place to go. It's good to know that Chill Coffee is one of the places you can go to.
It's great.
So guys, if you're in Valrico, which means you went to Brandon and went too far, it's a good place to stop by. It's a beautiful location. You renovated two houses, right?
No, so it was a high-end clothing store before. So it's got all tile floors. It has beautiful chandeliers. My wife has decorated it. You know what? You guys should come and do the podcast there some Sunday.
Oh, we'd love to do it.
Yeah, we do a game day board on Sunday. So, whenever, I'll coordinate it with Carlos, and you guys should come on out.
I live for CBD infused coffee con leche.
Yeah, we could do that for you.
Okay. Tom, it was great seeing you.
It was great seeing you, Gary.
Have a good show.
Hey, thank you for everything that you do, everything that Normal does. Guys, if you have a chance to support Normal, these guys have been working for legalization before I even knew marijuana was medicine. So, support Normal, support what they're doing, help to share their message, because they need it. There's a lot of new stuff that's out there, and a lot of people don't understand that there's people that have been dedicating their lives to this, and these are the guys that are doing it.
All right. We appreciate you, Tom.
Thank you, Gary.
That is so important. Okay. And welcome back to Speed Dating. I have some more cards for you, too. We are having a fantastic time.
You guys should come out on a Sunday and do the podcast from the store.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, we'll do like a fun Sunday.
Cool. What do you call it? What's up, Barbie? I had Gabe set to be a guest on the show.
I have not introduced him yet. This, of course, is our deputy director, Joe Mack. I know.
He even was sitting here all queued up, and then he started getting into some video he was taking. Well, I tried to call this lady you gave me, this Brianna.
Yeah, he hasn't grown out of his ADHD yet, so
yeah, right.
This is our deputy director, folks.
You guys know me.
Carlos is a master of business, and he has been looking into the business end of this convention, and it's been quite eye-opening.
I mean, not really.
To put it lightly.
Yo, hey, what's up, brother? You talking about my Facebook post from earlier, where I just talked.
Well, I didn't have a chance to read it because I was driving at the time. It's kind of hard.
It's a long post. I didn't expect you to read it.
Yeah. Carlos has two speeds on Facebook: meme and diatribe.
God is dead, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, so listen.
He's not dead. He's just sick, and you sicken him.
Listen. So Kushcon's been pretty good. Yeah, I have looked at some of the business things going on here. First off, Kushcon's done a pretty good job for their ability, for what it looked like, their ability to market, right? They got a good turnout here. I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't think they were going to get a lot of people here, to be honest with you.
Well, I've been to two CBD conventions in the last couple of years. Well, actually, before the COVID, because we had like a big, huge break there. That big one over in Orlando that Miranda does, and there's one over in Miami that was over by the big theater over there,
Uh-huh.
and that I found to be a huge, huge mess of buy my product and then you can white label it, and all of a sudden you have people who are white labeling products which have been white labeled, which have been white labeled, which have been
Which
white
had been
labeled.
white
So
label,
you have
yeah.
no idea where the original origin of the product is. You have a store that sells cannabis products, that sells CBD products, but you know what all the sources are.
Yes.
You don't sell white label as far as you know.
Well,
Can you tell?
I don't have a white label brand. I sell other people's brands. Some of them may be white labels. Tend to go directly to the manufacturer when I go with CBD or hemp companies. So typically, I do know where it's coming from, and especially flour. I think flour is probably the dumbest thing to buy from a distributor. You can literally buy it directly from the farm and get charged like a quarter of the price, and they're much easier to deal with. So, yeah, I go directly to your farm for hemp sources. We just got a free sticker. Thank you.
Oh, does that come with an ounce of weed?
I wish.
That's what they do in Washington D.C. That's what I was asking.
So, I mean, do you want me to go around looking for
Yeah,
these
and
people?
also go around the corner. I guess that's the closest one. Is the gentleman over at Higher Flower because he said that he'd stop by for a few
Higher
minutes.
flower?
Yeah, talk to Chris
You want me? I'll get out of here, Gary.
and
Thanks for
drag him over
talking
here
to
because
me.
I have a tirade I want to do anyway.
Felt like a normal show for a second there.
It is a normal show,
So,
and I have a topic I'm going to bring up here as long as I have a chance. I got the bully pulpit here, guys. Okay, this last week, Ron DeSantis actually suspended the state attorney for Hillsborough County because of the fact he wrote two prosecutorial discretion letters. And those are basically the letters that what the state attorney looks at cases and decides whether or not to prosecute or not based on the ability to win that case and whether he feels it's important to win. And in this particular case, he wrote two prosecutorial letters, one having to do with an abortion case, one having to do with a case in regards to a gender affirming surgery for a minor. And those two things have become illegal according to laws that have were voted on this last session, but it still have not been implemented yet. And that was the reason why he was not prosecuting yet, because the bills themselves, the laws themselves, have not been not. But he went ahead and said you are suspended pending termination. And this I find concerning because prosecutorial discretion goes a long way for other issues as well, including whether or not to prosecute you for possession for, say, for instance, uh, a gram of concentrate, which is in the state of Florida still a felony, which could put you in jail for many years and destroy your life for years and years after that. And there's other prosecutorial discretion things that would really do damage if the governor decides to write in anytime he feels that a state attorney is not doing their job. They are democratically elected positions in every county, and some of them are Democrats, some of them are Republicans. It doesn't make any difference. They have been elected to do that job, and I don't see it as the governor's job to go ahead and eliminate them. And this has got to stop. Now, this guy here, we have coming in. He works out of my neighborhood, over in Wesley Chapel Boulevard, Wesley Chapel, where we just have a brand new part of our new mall called the Crates that opened up, which is a fantastic idea where they take uh, containers. You know, you can kind of they bring in all the products and stuff from all the various countries, and put them in down and turn them into shops so that new entrepreneurs can get in. And that is very similar to the bill that I wrote for home grow that also uses containers to create home grow co-ops so that people can have access to doing their home grow for hydroponically with some expert tutelage and actually be able to pass a home grow bill for the state of Florida, which I'm hoping to do so. But Chris, good to see you. Chris is actually the owner of Higher Flower, which is a bakery which does not give out samples to kids.
Yeah, we're the world's best bakery, especially for edibles, because we're the only place that actually bakes our edibles fresh. So that's one of the best things that we've seen. Just because the edible market has just always been prepackaged, either like
Yeah.
gummies, the whole
Yeah.
just basic stuff. So that's why we only make gourmet edibles at our shop.
I like the fact that everything is brand new. I saw the lady sitting there with the scoop making the fresh cookies for the day.
You know?
It's kind of like, when that sign lights up over at Krispy Kreme, it says fresh now. I know when she's making that next batch of cookies. And you have some fantastic flavors, some unusual flavors that you don't normally see in the cookies out there.
Yeah, that was our goal behind actually developing our flavors of cookies. We have ube, which is a bright purple. It's a purple yam from the Philippines. We have matcha, which is a green tea, so it's a bright green color. Red velvet, of course, bright red. And then our
With the white chocolate chips in it. You got to have that.
chips. And no nuts in any of our stuff. So
Gotcha.
Safety first.
Any gluten, and you have gluten-free options as well.
Yeah, we have our vegan gummies, and also, of course, all of our plant smoking materials.
So that's pectin-based, guys.
Yep.
No. My daughter is vegan.
Vegan, yeah.
I'm still working on that, and she will not touch anything that has gelatin in it. Does that make a difference in regards to the cooking?
Oh yeah, because especially in Florida, it has a much higher temperature of melting point. So a lot of times with the gelatin, if it gets too hot, if somebody leaves it in their car, it will kind of form one big gummy. But with the pectin, it has a higher burn rate, so it's going to stay fresher. It's not going to all fuse together.
One thing I've noticed about gummies is that there is a science involved to doing it right.
Right.
Even down to the kind of sugar crystals that are infused with citric acid that you have to go ahead and toss them in so they don't stick to each other.
Right.
Now, as far as the active component, you have the Delta 8. You're using that, right?
Yeah.
What is your source?
Everything in our shop is Delta 8 THC. So, we like to kind of spread the love. So we'll get it from just whoever has the highest quality. Like all of everything that we have in our shop is just the most premium products that we can get hold of. So whether this person this month has 90-something% distillate, we'd like to actually spread the love to.
So you use distillates or isolates or
distillate?
Okay.
For all of our cookies.
And that works out quite well for you because
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact they're quite tasty. But if you got to put them in the refrigerator during the first 2 days if you don't eat them, because otherwise they tend to get hard.
Yeah.
Which happens when you have fresh baked goods.
Yeah, but you can always put it so we have the directions right there on the label.
Yeah.
Where if they last 2 to 3 weeks just sitting out, 3 months in the fridge or a year in the freezer. But if you wanted to, you could just pop them back in the oven for 150 for 5 minutes, and you have fresh cookies again.
I did not know. I have to go back and read the packaging a little bit better because I've been saying, well, I'm afraid of putting it in the microwave.
Oh yeah, no, I don't even use a microwave. Yeah.
It always turns things mushy.
Yeah.
So I told the wife, I said, look, if we're going to go get cookies, you got to eat them while they're fresh because they are absolutely amazing.
Right.
And you have other products besides cookies, and you have gummies as well, and what else?
Yeah, we have gummies. We have to have infused popcorn too. So we have chocolate drizzle and caramel, and then we even just put in the dispensary in the shop too. So we're actually one of the only people that uses our indoor Delta 8 flower. So not greenhouse, not outdoor. It's literally premium bud that you can come in there and buy it all day.
Now,
No med card needed.
our friend Vinny and his wife Hannah also make those fantastic cushy cakes.
Yeah.
And
He's a cool guy.
his thing was, can you guess what part of this has the Delta 8 in it? And I figured out it was the cookie crumbs. That's in the middle. But in your drizzled popcorn, is it in the stuff that you toss it in, or is it the drizzle? It's in the drizzle.
Yeah.
It's a sugar-based drizzle.
Yep.
You use confectioner's sugar, or how does that usually count?
So my wife's the baker.
Okay.
I'm the business side. So when it comes to questions like that, I'll have to get her over here.
Have you had any issues in regards to compliance as far as getting a shop like this? Because I was surprised that it appeared in Wesley Chapel, which has been always kind of like lagging.
Yeah.
I mean, True Leaf got there first because True Leaf always gets there first.
Yeah.
But that's where Wesley Chapel's already stopped. I don't see any other new dispensaries except for on the border of North Tampa where they have a couple of ones down Bruceby Downs. But here you are right in the heart of a new and highly bustling area. I was surprised at how well the Crates is doing.
Oh, it's amazing. We're truly blessed. Mark Gold and his whole property management team, they took a chance on us because, of course, it's a new concept that we're doing. But yeah, we got denied from probably 12 different locations before, Mark Gold said, that's an awesome idea. Let's go with it. Let's go. So now we're opening up a second location in Holiday. too. So Holiday, Florida, just right up the road.
So, what are your plans for expansion? You have one now in Wesley Chapel, one going on the Holiday, and what's going on after that for Higher Flower?
Yeah, so my goal for the company is to open up 50 of these in the next 5 years and turn it into like a club to where you can go into any of our locations across the country, you can hang out, you have a nice safe space to enjoy our products, and it's going to be, because that was the biggest thing, like in a lot of states, you can't fly with it on the plane. So, nobody wants to take that risk anymore. So now you don't have to.
Don't take Higher Flower cookies to Russia.
Oh yeah.
Just saying, especially if you're a gay basketball player who happens to be black, don't do it.
Yeah,
Even though for a long time all of our CBD was coming from Russia.
right. It's insane the way this world works when it comes to that.
All right, Chris, I'm gonna let you get back to your sales.
Nice.
Enjoy Kushcon. You'll see me around the neighborhood.
Oh, perfect.
After I get finished with the nitro ice cream, I'm gonna find a cookie to dip in it.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's moving on. Okay, we have here Patrick Quinones, who is the Chief Operating Officer for it's LV Loop?
Level up.
Level Up.
Yes, sir. Level up edibles.
Okay, I was looking at it. It looks like Lululemon to me, but that's bad glasses. I will have to get one of those little glass wipes. and what does Level Up Edibles do?
Yeah, so we're a hemp edible company. Right now, we started our first product on the market. We have our Delta 8 gummies. Doing something a little unique, though, in comparison to a lot of these other companies where they just limit you to one dose.
Mhm.
The idea here, we have what we call our Level Up multi-pack. So with our Level Up multi-pack, you actually get 3 different doses in one bag. So you start out low and go slow, like we always recommend with any type of cannabis edible. You start with a 10 milligram dose, you get 5 of those, so that way you can kind of gauge, see where you are with Delta 8, since a lot of people are still becoming familiar with how that cannabinoid works with them.
Mhm.
And then you can level up from there. We have a 350 milligram doses, and then all the way to the big guy, there's 3 of those 100 milligram doses in there as well.
I know I came across a product in one of the provisioners in Michigan. I think it was called Dab Edibles, and what you had was a 2.5 gram glob of gelatin.
Okay.
You had to cut apart into small pieces because eating that entire thing would be gross negligence, I think, on my part, because I would have no idea exactly how far to go. Now, do you make a sheet, or do you cut it into cubes, or do you use a cube mold?
So we actually have molds. So with our molds, we have our depositors that we fill all those gummies with, and then we pop them out like that, and then let them cure and dry. And then afterwards, there's a whole sugar coating process, because we do sugar coat them with some sugar as well as some citric acid to give them that little extra tang.
How do you maintain consistency that every single cube has the exact same amount as the ones before it?
That's where you get those depositors that have actually measured doses, so that way you can make sure that there's the same amount going into each one.
But what I want to worry about is the level of Delta 8 THC in each individual gummy. I can't tell you how many chocolate bars I've had in the past where some of them had nothing, and on the far right-hand side of the bar, all of a sudden you'll find 100 grams in one square.
Yeah, and that goes, so infusing, because all of our products are infused, nothing sprayed here. So that goes to me, because I am the cook, so that goes to me having to do the math to make sure I know exactly how much gummy I'm going to yield. That way I can also determine how much Delta 8 I'm going to be adding. And then after that, once I do medicate the gummies, we actually have a slow mixer that mixes them for quite some time to make sure we do evenly distribute as much of that distillate as possible. And then afterwards, when the gummies are done, we do have them all third-party tested to ensure not only potency, but we do a full panel to test for microbials, contaminants, and so forth. So make sure we're getting our potency right. That helps to make sure we have 10 milligram gummies that are actually 10 milligram gummies.
So you have a third-party tester that goes ahead and tests all your products?
Yes, yeah, we're using Kayacha Labs. They're based out of Tennessee.
I'm familiar with Kayacha.
Yeah. So we use them for not only our Delta 8 distillate testing.
Tip out at Chris Martinez. You owe us $5.
So they're testing all of our distillate as well as all of our gummies. Each batch of our gummies gets tested as well.
That's fantastic, because we need good, high-quality products.
I agree. My other business that I do is Canawise Angels, and that's my cannabis education company that I run with my wife, Nicole. And together we actually have a program where we train licensed medical practitioners on everything cannabis, everything from the endocannabinoid system. Proper dosing is very important, because that's something a lot of these nurses and physicians, they have no idea anything about cannabis when it comes to dosing and helping patients, not understanding that everybody's endocannabinoid system is unique. So what dose might work for me might not work for you.
Well, I know I'm going to piss off some people right now, but I can tell you that we get fantastic uh, information from a lot of our doctors who are very trained, and they have people in our offices very trained. But once you leave that office with your medical card and you go to a dispensary or to a provisioner, if that's that thing in your state, the people behind the counter, the bud tenders, are there to build a sale and not necessarily to know anything about your health condition or the best way to take care of it.
So, and just piggybacking off what you said there, that's actually what my other company, Canawise Angels, does. We actually do on-site training for dispensaries because I believe exactly what you're saying is when you're that bud tender or that guide, whatever, behind the counter, you have a huge responsibility. You have a lot of patients that are coming to you with different medical conditions, some of them terminal illnesses and stuff like that. So I feel it's not about pushing the sales. I've managed dispensaries also for 10 years. So for me, my mom had cancer. So when my mom had cancer, she was a medical marijuana patient when we were living in Colorado. I always envisioned that was my mom coming through that door. So I wanted to make sure my staff was always well trained, up to date on all different cannabinoid products, how they're going to interact with different medical conditions and so forth. Obviously, we're not physicians or anything like that, but we can make recommendations based on information that we found or that has helped other patients. I think that's important because there's a lot of dispensaries, like you said, they don't care. They're just trying to push whatever product's on sale because they're trying to push their numbers. Me, hey, I'll still get some sales, but I'm also going to make sure I take care of all of my patients, and my patients are actually getting the products they need that are going to benefit versus sending them home with a bunch of garbage that they're never going to use.
I have actually heard from some MMTCs they don't want to worry about having to have certification situations for their employees because they would have to pay them more if they had any kind of a certification under their belt.
And I can agree. I've worked in a couple different states industries. I've worked in Colorado for about 10 years, and then I also worked in the Florida medical marijuana industry. And I can let you know when I came back down to Florida, it was kind of difficult for me to get hired because they would rather have somebody that managed the T-Mobile for 10 years and had management and customer service experience instead of somebody who spent their entire life in the cannabis industry that can actually come with that information, that education to better the patients. Because I'm not going to push whatever product you have on sale. I'm going to sell the products that are actually going to benefit patients and then educate them on how that can help them. Like I said, it's a huge blessing and it's an opportunity we have to be able to help patients and not a disservice to give them stuff just because it's on sale.
And I mean, I talk a lot about the MTCs and the dispensaries, but the fact is, even in a shop that sells CBD products, even if it's in a side, if they're mostly a glass shop or a water pipe shop, you can't say bong because you might get in trouble.
Yeah.
But again, the people behind the counter, they have no clue as to what the benefits of CBD, CBG, and by the way, quick question because I've been asking this to everybody: is it cannabigerol or cannabigerol?
I say cannabigerol. I actually say cannabigerol. So that's why I say it with a J at the end.
'Cause I was once told that there's no bitch in barbituate. So,
Yeah, I say cannabigerol. CBG is an
CBG.
I'm really happy that there are a lot of companies that are using more CBG. As I mentioned earlier, my mom died of cancer. We use RSO to keep her alive, so high THC RSO, little CBD. But the studies that are coming out now, especially in the last year and a half, of how anti-proliferative CBG actually is and causing a reduction in those blood vessels and stuff like that with those cancer cells, it's amazing because now you have THC working also to help kill and cause apoptosis with those cells. But then you add some CBG, you're actually seeing more of a reduction in some of those tumors and cancer cells as well. So I'm excited that companies are doing it, but I agree. They also need to understand why it is they're putting CBG in their products.
And the CBG is not only big as far as the vasoconstriction that occurs in regards to tumor cells that may actually cut off the blood supply to those tumors, but also those people who have glaucoma, they actually reduces the interocular pressure, and therefore it reduces the pressure. Now, they have changed the definition of glaucoma now to pressure on the optic nerve, as opposed to this little high pressure in itself, because it is the actual degradation of the optic nerve under that pressure where it becomes achromatic and stops working as well. Yeah, I have a wife who lost her eyesight to glaucoma, so
Gotcha. Yeah.
I paid attention to the entire process from alpha to omega. But I found that it doesn't make any difference whether it's a THC or not. It has to do with the CBG.
Yep.
And I think it is important that we concentrate on all the other cannabinoids that we're not paying attention to. I mean, it's great to know what your percentage of THC is, if that's what you're looking for. That to me sounds more like an adult use market.
Yep.
as opposed to a medical market.
And I think what happened for so long is people were pushing for that adult use and stuff like that. And a lot of these companies and stuff were going on, what's selling? What's going to bring me in the most revenue? And a lot of these companies are finding, hey, people really care about THC and CBD. Those were the two cannabinoids that were obviously pushed most by the media and stuff like that. But now we're starting to see more companies coming more prevalent with the other cannabinoids, your CBG, your CBCs, your CBNs, and stuff like that. And we're seeing more products to market with that. And I think that's going to be huge in the next coming, 2 or 3 years, where we start seeing products that are using more of that array of different cannabinoids instead of just the focus on THC and CBD.
And where can people find your products, and how can they get a hold of you if they needed a doctor's assistant or a bud tender educated?
Yeah, for sure. So CannaWiseAngels.com or LevelUpEdibles.com, and it is LVLUpEdibles.com. Those are both on my websites. You can find both my contact information on there. We're also on Instagram, and then by phone, of course, 719-930-8629. Still kept my Colorado number, even though I'm down here in Florida now. So,
welcome back to a place where you're not freezing your tuchus off.
yes. I do miss the mountains, though. It was beautiful seeing the seasons out there.
Well, you can see mountains here, but you have to be on psilocybin.
That is true. That is true. In Denver, it was legal. Psilocybin was legal up there. So
That's
that was
right.
everything. So, yeah.
Well, here you have to settle for imaginary mountains.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Nice talking to you.
You as well. Thank you
I know
very
you got to
much.
get back to your booth.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of the
Thank you.
And it was
Appreciate it.
great having you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. One of the things we constantly talk about here on the show is that Florida sucks when it comes to social equity. And by social equity, I mean people who have been normally adversely affected by the war on drugs, but also the fact that I think as this industry began, it began as a highly male-oriented industry and money-oriented industry, and that cut out a lot of people, including women in business.
Yes, I agree with you. Unfortunately, we pride ourselves on being such an inclusive industry, but anything that's actually beneficial for us on a level where we're going to see that return to us is extremely exclusive. And that's exclusive to people who have the ability to be at the table in these rooms, regardless of their involvement or advocacy or lack thereof. It's more so how much money they can put into specific types of people's pockets.
Now, I know I got ahead of you, but go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you are a part of an organization called the Women's Chamber of Cannabis.
So Women's Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, super
Women's
long
Cannabis
name.
Chamber of Commerce.
No,
Yeah.
you're
It's
good.
a lot longer than I thought, and I couldn't remember all of it, so go ahead.
Yes, of course. No, sometimes we just refer to it as a WCCC. You can only imagine typing out that email. It's incredibly long.
I came from Detroit. That would be Wayne County Community College.
I don't know why we haven't learned our lesson. But yes, so I'm the executive director of the Women's Cannabis Chamber of Commerce. My name is Brianna Bose. I helped found the Florida chapter back in 2019. But our organization dates back to 2016, starting in Denver, Colorado. We are in a few states throughout the U.S. We have a chapter in each of those states, and throughout the rest of this year, we're adding 8 more states along with mini chapters to be able to reach more members, as well as give members the opportunity to access all of our events rather than a few.
Now, are you the founder, or you got in after it already became active?
So I am not the founder. A wonderful woman named Addison Morris started this. She is a badass individual who is in her late 70s, absolutely fantastic, and somebody that I'm always interested in learning from. But she found me back in 2019 and saw the passion and just basically where I was headed in this industry and asked me to assist with the Florida chapter. And, now instead of just a Florida chapter, I'm involved with all of them throughout the U.S.
A lot of people, again, they think of this as a highly male-oriented industry, and they forget 2 of the pioneers of this industry involved, Alice B. Toklas and Brownie Mary, over on the West Coast. 2 people who actually started the edibles industry in their own way. Alice B. Toklas actually did it, I believe, for her wife's cancer, but it was an interesting fudge mixture that was kind of bizarre. But it was categorized and put into the historical books, and then Brownie Mary picked it up from there on the West Coast and showed people the benefits of cannabis brownies that made them iconic.
Oh yeah, I mean we did see. I mean prior to the pandemic, we were really gaining traction in this space as a woman oriented, a woman focused, a woman led industry. And that is what really got everybody so excited, because it was an opportunity and a chance for us to have a real shot at a true fair market, at at anything that would be able to add some shed some positive light to social equity. However, post pandemic, we're seeing our numbers dropping with our involvement at executive levels. There are 1,000 reasons why that could be. But some of the ones that we talk about are women in the workplace. Sometimes we unfortunately have to move to a more steady type of position. Something that will allow us more fluidity when we're trying to care for our own family or ourselves. Especially when dealing with the basic hardships of being a woman, especially in this time. So what we're trying to do is add some more consistency, add some more, and when I say consistency, I mean with the offerings that we share with people, because a lot of the things that we hear from other women throughout the U.S. is their lack of ability to access, or just the lack thereof, of organizations where they have a safe space to actually have a conversation with people, be able to network and make relationships that are genuine without the concern or fear of dealing with unfortunate things that we're all very much aware of.
I mean, it's not like there's no women in the industry, because there's a lot of executives across the country. Of course, we usually see the same ones over and over again in regards to from one state to the next. But I know that ArcView has a number of women in their hierarchy. That makes certain that the money is put out.
Yes. So what we're seeing now, since the most recent numbers from the 2021 Minorities and Women Report released by MJBiz, or at least from what we're experiencing, we're seeing women, reinvigorated. We're seeing women want to see those numbers change.
I'm a frontier data kind of guy, so I'll have to go back and look at their latest reports on that.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the report had come out saying we dropped from 36% down to 22%.
Wow.
And minority, executive representation had dropped to 13%. And what we're seeing is, or at least from what I'm seeing on the ground level, is the next time that report comes through, I think we'll surpass that 36% that we were originally at, which is extremely exciting. But I think it's not just because of any reason or whatever. It's because we're putting the work in, and it's because we are resilient people, and we're not wanting this industry to be taken over again, and be a male-dominated industry. We want some degree of equality. We want to be able to also advocate for people who have been wronged by the war on drugs, because not just necessarily because you're a woman are you wronged by the war on drugs, but it's a lot of the members or women that we speak to who, because of their ethnicity or background, simply for the way that they look or what they believe in, that is what has affected them, specifically with the war on drugs.
Well, what caused that retrograde motion to go from 36 back down to 22?
I mean, a few different reasons. As I was saying earlier, it could be, women feeling the need to, take care of their family, move to a position that maybe is not in the industry that, would be classified as something that's more reliable, right? Something that they might consider recession proof or recession resistant, where even though cannabis, it said that it could be a recession proof industry, such as, alcohol and all of that, but we simply don't know. Everything's new. It's startup culture within a startup industry, and nobody knows what tomorrow is going to look like. So unfortunately, sometimes when we really need consistency in our lives, we have to, make that hard decision to leave something that we're incredibly passionate about.
Well, I have been told we are in a recession, and I've been told we're not in a recession.
Oh yeah, how fun is that to not even know what's going on? I mean, I think personally, I think we are, and I think everybody has been very proactive with sourcing information and education on how to recession proof or get their business recession ready. It's definitely not impossible for people to start new ventures in a recession or in any sort of economic hardships. I mean, that's when amazing people are created. That's where you see people shine the most. But it does take a different degree of resilience. It does take a certain type of person. But, luckily this industry runs rampant with those types of people. So that's not something that we're, that's difficult to attain when we're pivoting our business models on a daily basis.
Well, I'm kind of hoping that you get to the point where women have a certain level of equality and equity within the business, so you can actually go back to making certain that both sexes are properly aligned. Because we have a lot of folks who are guys who are not executives who are actually having a hard time getting counter jobs
Hmm.
and things of that sort. And by the way, I guess the difference between recession and repression and depression is that in depression there is no jobs. In recession, you don't have a job.
Yeah. Yes. I definitely think that just going back to what you said, yes, men are also finding it very difficult to get some certain positions. I mean, and specifically talking about this industry, it's concerning that, both types of people are finding it difficult to get positions when they are OGs in the space, when they've been in this industry, seen it from illegal to legal, and have some decades behind them. But it's because we're seeing the professionalization of this industry. So you have people that are coming in that don't even know anything about cannabis. But for some reason, some recruiters or some companies are choosing them over the people who know compliance, who know this industry like the back of their hand. But
Ageism exists.
it
I can
does.
tell you that for a fact. Experience does not count for as much as being able to accept a low wage.
That's yes, that is incredibly true. I mean, I am happy though that the different types of recruiters that I'm speaking to.
And I'm not saying millennials suck,
No.
but I'm thinking it.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely some reasons why I could agree with you or see where you would have that point. I mean, we just dance our problems away now, so I don't.
At least you didn't say okay, boomer.
No, no, don't worry. That won't come. That won't come out of my mouth. No. But I mean, we're happy to be able to have conversations with recruiters and be able to put members from our organization in front of these types of people to be able to get some feedback, advice on how to move forward with these times and navigate these hardships. But also, one thing that I'm really happy about hearing is that we're not just promoting or putting women in higher positions just because they're women. Because a lot of people who look at extreme feminists and they're like, this is a problem. That this person is not fit for the job. We can actively say, yeah, this person isn't fit for the job, and that's why they shouldn't be promoted or shouldn't be moved in this position, because it would be a disservice to everything that women have been able to accomplish in all of our lives and all of our movements. So it's amazing to hear from recruiters that they also understand that it's important to provide women the access to information and education when they're moved into new types of positions, and that they're not necessarily being chosen because they're women, but because they're genuinely good for that position.
Do you ever have to deal with the fact that people who want to get in this industry who are women and have a medical card or use it medically find themselves blocked from jobs or being fired from jobs for using products that are medical?
So instead of instead of women obtaining these cards and having that experience, what I'm seeing are people are too afraid to even make the jump to become a patient. And that is one reason why I think that we see a lower percentage of women as card holders in comparison to men, simply because they have, or, psychologically, it may feel like they have so much that's sitting on their shoulders. It's still pretty much taboo. There's not a lot of protections out there. We haven't passed any law in Florida, to protect people with government, positions.
Not that I haven't tried.
Yeah.
I actually have a bill that was filed 2 sessions in a row and did not even get to committee.
It's incredible to see. I mean, even just days ago, we had people blocking a bill to be able to protect our veterans. A lot of the things just don't make sense right now in the world, and a lot of that, I mean, you see that throughout this industry. But I do see a lot of women that are in a difficult position because what's acceptable is to be prescribed like 10 pounds of Xanax, right? And other highly addictive substances, and then sprinkle in a little bit of 10 minutes of therapy every month. But what is that going to do? It does absolutely nothing, and it causes a larger problem. And we're already in a state where you have high opioid addiction rates, and you see people dying left and right, and you're losing genuinely amazing people. Not you have people that have fought for this country. I've had people come into clinics that I've owned who are crying to me because they are afraid to lose their benefits, just by simply trying a pain cream, not even taking a toke of anything, but just a cream to try to relieve their pain, and they can't do it because they're so concerned about what comes after. And it is incredibly frustrating. I mean, I've actually seen in the industry, which was surprising, and it may be positive, companies still having people taking drug tests, but not even using that as a reason to hire or fire or not accept them. I think we we're going into recession, or we are in a recession. We have a growing base of jobs that like our industry is able to create for the United States as well as on a global scale. Um, but you have people overlooking drug tests, which is really fun to me because they're so desperate to have people or have have people, have these workers, have these essential workers show up and actually want to be a part of the this company, where before that was the only thing that was a deterrent for them.
Well, here's a hard HR question for you. The bills that Suncoast Normal wrote and pushed were based on the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, now reaching its 32nd year. And it basically says that people with a disability have to have accommodations in the workplace, which means if you're back to work because before you couldn't stand up straight because you had to deal with the pain, and now you're doing it with CBD or whatever, that allows you to go back to work and that allows you to be productive. But if you can't get a job because of it, you're working it, it's kind of a double-edged sword. And yet we're talking about people who essentially have a disability. And so therefore they should be covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act. And there are other folks who have chronic disabilities, like my wife who's blind. And for some odd reason, being blind and being a woman seems to have a double layer of negativity as far as getting hired. And the third layer, of course, is that the Labor Act of 1928 basically states that if a person has a disability, you can actually hire them for less than minimum wage by being able to get a special certificate from the federal government, so you can pay them as little as $2 an hour.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible in a sense that it's horrible. The lack of protection for anybody in this industry, I completely agree with you. It needs to be protected. People are returning to work. People are able to work because of these things, and now we're completely doing away with them. They're not even able to be considered.
And some folks who have long COVID are coming back to work disabled. That COVID did do that.
No, it did. It did. I mean,
brain fog,
you
that kind of situation.
Exactly. I mean, and we don't even know what else is going to come about that. So, and if people are finding ways to be able to navigate this minefield of long-term effects of COVID, of the different, or just to be able to find symptomatic relief and go about their day, I don't think that necessarily should brand somebody as a criminal. They're just trying to be a productive, normal member of society and live.
Will the WC3 help to get people with disabilities hired?
We are doing everything that we can to do right by this community, and that involves every single person, no matter disability, no disability, if you are a minority or not a minority. We are doing everything that we can to be able to provide the resources necessary to live your life and have the best quality of life possible.
Well, more power to the badass ladies of the Women's Chamber of Commerce of Cannabis.
I like what you said, WC3. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. We sound that sounds really cool. I'm gonna talk about that right now.
There you go. Ms. Bose, thank you very much for stopping by. We hope to have you on a little bit longer so we can talk more at length with the issues that occur and to see how this industry is evolving and how pushing the women's edge can actually change the culture of this industry, because it needs kind of a different culture to it.
Oh, I agree with you, and I
don't just mean pink papers, although I've seen some pretty cute papers in this industry.
No, yeah, where I think that just the addition of women-owned brands, women-owned products, or women-led companies to be able to come in this space adds a little bit of a zest in it. I mean, you see colors brought back, you see life almost pumped back into the industry, where before you had different types of stores that a lot of people were afraid to go into just because of the, it's just black and green and the windows are, all blurry. You don't know what necessarily is going to happen over there. But it's amazing to be here and see, I mean, right over there, I was passing by multiple women-owned businesses, and we kind of go above and beyond. There's like a degree that we hold ourselves to that sometimes almost unattainable or not necessarily needed, but in our head it's just been ingrained that we have to overperform constantly, and it's frustrating, but I mean that's why we pump out amazing stuff.
Yep.
And it's going to be amazing to see what this industry turns into, because we're not going to let this, we're not going to be steamrolled. We're not going to go away. We're continuing to fight harder and together, and
fantastic.
That's the only way we're able to
enjoy Kushcon.
Oh,
make it productive. Make other people productive. That's so important.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, has my date card been filled?
Yeah.
We have a lot more folks we have to. I know Ed Rosenthal is here, and I'm trying to get him grabbed over here, so we might just come back on live a little bit later.
I think he's actually speaking at the moment.
Well, in that case, he can't come here.
Yeah.
I don't want to drag him away from what he's doing.
But the show's officially gone 10 minutes over, Gary. So
That's my goal. Always be at least 10 minutes over.
get a pretty lady on the last part of the show, and you just turn into a chatterbug.
And I got a chance to go ahead and pitch my wife's
And
concerns,
smart
which
ladies.
always work for me because
Yeah.
she's loved my life and my driver, and I'm attuned to her needs as well.
Well, good for you. You definitely love Monique, and I love you, buddy.
I love
How's
you
that?
too, guy.
And yeah, I mean, I guess
Atheist bromance.
I guess the only thing left to say is join Suncoast Normal.
Suncoast Normal. Suncoastnormal.org for those people who are not familiar with it. Become a member. You get one of these fantastic pins like I have here on my lapel. There we go. Oh, where is it?
You'll get it.
There
Just
we
wait
go.
for it.
There
there
we
you
go.
go. Ah, hey,
All right.
there's a bunch of them on the table too.
Yeah, a bunch on the table. Order $25. You get the pin, you get the card, and you get to be part of the action as we move things forward.
Yeah. How many booths here do free podcasts to spread information? Not many, huh?
No.
No, just I think there's only one other one.
And
that's
how many
like a
of them are actually
podcast.
working to change the laws?
Yeah, none of them.
But they benefit
Except
from
us.
what we do.
Yeah,
they
do.
benefit from what we do.
So come on down here, buy a normal lighter. It goes to legalization.
There you go.
All right, guys. Bye. Thank
Ciao.
you.